Welcome to Bite Size Business. In this installment, we will take a bite into the Coca-Cola Company, a global leader in its industry and one of the most recognizable brands worldwide. Coca-Cola is the best-selling soft drink in the world. On today's menu, we have Coca-Cola, which trades under the ticker symbol KO. Our chef special today boasts over 500 brands, with a collection of products generating $46.4 billion in annual revenue. Top brands include Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, Sprite, Fanta, Powerade, Dasani, and some other fan favorites like Minute Maid and Simply Juices. Coca-Cola has a storied history of innovation and marketing prowess that solidified its leadership position. The company's history begins in 1886 when a pharmacist, John Pemberton, created the first Coca-Cola drink. Over the decades, Coca-Cola expanded its portfolio through acquisitions and innovation, including its acquisition of Minute Maid in 1960, launching of Diet Coke in 1982, and from recent acquisitions, in 2020, Coke purchased the remaining stake of the dairy company Fairlife, and in 2021, they purchased the remaining stake of Body Armor. For the appetizers today, we will start with the income statement. In last 12 months, Coca-Cola's income statement shows that they did $46.4 billion of revenue. They did $15.5 billion of EBITDA, and this leaves us with $10.4 billion of net income. For our second option, we will move on to the balance sheet. On Coca-Cola's most recent quarterly report, we see they posted total assets of $106.3 billion, liabilities of $78.1 billion, and total shareholder equity of $28.15 billion. Coca-Cola also holds on to a total debt of $46.3 billion. Off to our final option, we will look at the cash flow statement. Coca-Cola's free cash flow for the last 12 months is $3.4 billion. They've done total buybacks in the last 12 months of $2.3 billion, and they have paid dividends of $8.15 billion. Now to bring out the main course. Today's company was Coca-Cola. They trade under the ticker symbol KO. They are in the snack foods industry. In the last 12 months, posted revenue of $46.3 billion. This is up from 2022's number of $43 billion. EBITDA in the last 12 months was $15.47 billion, which was down from the year prior, but up from 2022's $13.8 billion. Net income stood at $10.4 billion, down from $10.7 billion in 2023, but up from $9.5 billion in 2022. Total debt was $46.26 billion, with assets of $106.3 billion and liabilities of $78.1 billion. This leaves us with a shareholder equity of $28.1 billion. Free cash flow for the last 12 months was $3.4 billion. In 2023, it was $9.7 billion. In 2022, it was $9.5 billion. Coca-Cola's stock buybacks for the last 12 months were $2.3 billion. This is about the same as 2023's number of also around $2.3 billion and up from 2022's $1.4 billion. Cash dividends came in at $8.1 billion, up from $8 billion the year before and up from $7.61 billion in 2022. Taking a look at the ratios, we can see Coca-Cola posted a debt-to-equity ratio of 1.64, a debt-to-EBITDA of 2.99. They post an EBITDA margin of 33% with a net profit margin of 22%. Coca-Cola's buybacks as a percentage of free cash flow was 68%, and as a percentage of net income it was 22%. The revenue CAGR for Coke is 4%, the EBITDA CAGR is 6%, and the free cash flow CAGR is negative 40%. Taking a look at the comparisons, we can see that Coca-Cola has a high debt to equity, a neutral debt to EBITDA, but both a high EBITDA margin and net profit margin. Coca-Cola also ranks first on our capital distribution rank, handing out the most money to shareholders. Due to these statistics of a neutral debt to EBITDA and high EBITDA and net profit margins, I am giving Coca-Cola a green light for their financial health. Taking a look at the capital distributions, we can see Coke's total buybacks in the last 3 years were $6 billion. Buybacks as a percentage of free cash flow were 68%, and as a percentage of net income was 22%. In the last 3 years, Coca-Cola has paid total dividends of $23.7 billion. As a percentage of free cash flow, this was 239% of the most recent annual report. Dividends as a percent of net income were 78%. Coca-Cola's total distribution over the last 3 years came in at nearly $30 billion, and as their distribution as a percentage of free cash flow was 300%, and their distribution as a percentage of net income was 101%. If you look at these weird percentages I have here, this is their total distribution back to shareholders over the last 3 years over their EBITDA over the last 3 years. We can see that as a percentage of total distributions over EBITDA, Coca-Cola pays out the most at a whopping 2/3 of EBITDA over the last 3 years going to shareholders. Taking a look at the shares outstanding graph of Coca-Cola, we can see that since 2010, Coca-Cola has bought back a large percentage of their shares. But if we try to focus this graph more on the time since the end of 2021, we can see that Coca-Cola has steadily risen in shares, followed by a steeper drop in the most recent quarters. At the end of 2021, Coca-Cola had 4.34 billion shares. In their most recent report, they had 4.323 billion shares. This means that in that time, Coca-Cola has bought back roughly 17 million shares. In the last 3 years, Coca-Cola has returned almost $5.50 back to shareholders on an individual per share basis, which is about 8% of the current share price. After the dessert comes the check. The check for Coca-Cola is its most recent fully AI ad. Coca-Cola recently tried to publish an advertisement that was made fully with AI, but this became controversial as many people did not like the fact that the company used a commercial for Christmas that did not have people. Coca-Cola has historically had great Christmas ad campaigns, and in some cases is credited for the modern Santa that we know today as the fat, jolly man with the red suit. Coca-Cola's most recent ad failed to, as the post says from the print, leverage AI. As brands try to incorporate AI into corporate structure and into public perception of the company, it's important that companies do not tarnish the heritage that companies have either with advertising or certain seasons of the year. I hope you enjoyed this video on Coca-Cola, and I ask that you please join me in the next video. I'm not quite sure what the next series is going to be on, but I can assure you that you can expect the same quality out of future episodes of the next series as you could with this series. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video or the series, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, thank you for watching.